the second example that I'm going over on polynomial long division. And so again, write down the example and pause as you need to when we're going through this so that you have it completely, that you can follow along completely and have it in your notes. So notice at the top it says watch for missing terms. So there was a missing term in example 1 as well. And as you see, this has an x cubed term. There isn't an x squared term. So the x squared term is missing from here. Then you have, so this is degree 3. There's no degree 2 term, so that's why it's called a missing term. This is degree 1. And this is actually really degree 0. Because you can have -5 times x to the 0 power. And then this is the divisor, and in the divisor we also have a missing term because we have our x squared term, or degree 2 term, but there's no x term. So we're missing an x term. So we have to take that into account when we're doing the polynomial division. All right, so I'm going to erase that and we'll do this problem. So I have 4x cubed plus 0x squared, because that's a missing term, plus 2x minus 5, and I'm dividing by, oh, that's really crooked. I'm dividing by the x squared minus 1, but I need to put in x squared plus 0x minus 1. And now we're going to do the division. So get this written down. So what we're looking at here is we're going to take this x squared and look at this first term and think to yourself, what do I have to multiply x squared by to get 4x cubed? And the answer would be 4x. So then remember, you take that 4x and you multiply it by x squared plus 0x minus 1, and we're going to put it right underneath. So now I'm dividing by a trinomial. The first example we had a binomial. So it's going to be 3 terms that are going to that we're going to be writing down here. So multiply the 4x times the x squared, that's 4x cubed. 4x times 0x is 0x squared. And 4x times the minus 1 is negative 4x. And then think about what you're going to do. You're subtracting all of these terms from the ones above. So I have 2x minus a negative 4. Minus a negative 4, we're going to add it. So we end up getting a 6x. And then this is 0x squared. So I'm going to drop the next thing we do, and that lead term is 0x cubed as well. So that's, we don't really need to write either of those with the zeros in front. But the next thing you do is you're going to drop down that negative 5. Oops, so I have, really I have 6x minus 5 because the 0 is, I don't need to really write that. Now, x squared doesn't go into 6x because I'd have to divide to get an x instead of, because it's already x squared. So this right here is our remainder for this problem. And so what we have here is just 4x plus, you're going to put the remainder over the divisor, which is x squared minus 1. And that is your, that's the division. All right, let's do another example. Again, we're watching for missing terms, and then this one's a little bit more tricky because it's not in descending order. This is my lead term. So I'm going to write down the 3x cubed and then 4x squared. And I have a missing x term, so I'm going to put 0x plus 10. And we're going to divide by x minus 2. All right, so when you do this, you're looking at this first term and this first term. And what do you have to multiply x by to get 3x cubed? And the answer is 3x squared. So you multiply the 3x squared times the x minus 2, and you're going to put that right underneath here. So 3x squared times x is 3x cubed, and 3x squared times a negative 2 is minus 6x squared. And now we're going to subtract. So we end up with 4 minus a negative 6 becomes plus 6, so it's 10x squared here, and the 3x cubed minus the 3x cubed is 0x cubed, so that's, I don't even need it anymore. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop down our 0x, and then you look at this and you look at this x and this 10x squared, and figure out what you'd have to multiply x by to get 10x squared, which is 10x. And then I'm going to go x times, I'm going to multiply the 10x times both of the, so the divisor, both terms, and I'm going to write that right underneath the 10x squared plus 0x. So 10x times x is 10x squared, 10x times the negative 2 is minus 20x, and we subtract. So you have 0x minus a negative 20 becomes plus 20x, and then the 10x squared minus 10x squared is going to drop out. Then we're going to bring down this 10. So it's going to be plus 10. And then you look again at this first term here in the divisor and the term down here, 20x. And I'd have to multiply by x by 20 to get the 20x. So plus 20 up here. Multiply 20 times the x minus 2, and you'll get 20x minus 40. Oops. And subtract. So 10 minus a negative 40, you add it, it ends up being positive 50. 20x minus 20x is gone. This x doesn't go into that, so this is my remainder. So we're going to write the answer. There's different ways to write these answers. We'll have to go over that. 3x squared plus 10x plus 20, and then, so this is your quotient, which is what we have up here, and then plus the remainder over the divisor. So plus 50 over the divisor, which is x minus 2. All right. Why don't you guys try to do this problem? You know what? I'm going to switch this up. Hang on. I'm going to turn this into a plus 2. So look for missing terms, do the polynomial division, and do it on your own, and then come back and see how you did. All right, so you should have gotten 3x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 23. That's your quotient. And then the remainder is 45, so plus 45 over the divisor, which is x minus 2. So let's just go through this quickly. If you didn't get that, try to see where you made your mistake. So we have x plus 2, we multiply by 3x to the third, and that when you multiply that through, we get this negative, or we get 3x to the fourth plus 6x cubed, and we're subtracting both terms. So you have a negative x cubed minus 6x cubed, which is negative 7x cubed. Drop down the next term, the 0x squared, and then we have to multiply by negative 7x squared to get negative 7x cubed, and then when you distribute to both terms, you get negative 7x cubed minus 14x squared. Then you're subtracting a negative, so you end up adding the 14x squared and the first, and that becomes 14x squared. The 7x cubed minus 7x cubed, or this is a negative 7x cubed minus a negative 7x cubed adds to 0. You bring your next term down, which is the 5x, and you have to multiply by 14x to get 14x squared. So I multiplied by 14x here, put the result here, and don't forget you're subtracting. So 5x minus 28x is negative 23x. Drop down the minus 1, and you got to multiply by a negative 23 to get negative 23x. Subtract negative 1 minus a negative 46. You add the 46, and we get a remainder of 45. So quotient plus divisor, or remainder over divisor. All right, so if you have questions, bring them to class, and be looking for 3.3 part 2, and you're going to find that a little easier, I think. All right.